What's up, beautiful people? It's me, Pamela, on my YouTube channel. No, it's a bit dark because I'm inside a one sticking a cone at my bed. So I think that's why it's a bit darkish. The lighting, I apologize for that, guys. We're going to the Soweto festival. Yeah, I was invited here for this event. Just right now, it's like quarter now, 12:30. So he's going to get a manje and just see what's going on there, the festivities. Yes, guys, I'm so happy to take you guys with me. Thank you so much. Like guys, Soweto Festival Expo. There's writers here. One writer actually, author. Yeah. So let's just see what is it called? Soweto International Film Festival. Yeah. So let's go inside, guys.
Told you guys, and I'll try and keep it very short and very simple on the differences between self-publishing and traditional publishing. So when you self-publish, right, it's very descriptive. It's self-publishing. It's something that you do yourself. So I don't know how many of you are authors in here, but if you were to self-publish your book, that means that you did your own cover, you did your own layout, your typesetting, you sourced your own ISBN numbers, your own barcode, you printed it, you did all that stuff all by yourself. So that's what self-publishing is. Now, the thing with self-publishing, as you know, everything has pros and cons. There's something that's advantageous and something that's disadvantageous. So with self-publishing, unfortunately, because you do everything yourself, you're not a graphic designer, you might not be an editor, you might not be or like a book layout designer, so you don't know what you're doing. So you're doing everything mostly because you don't have the funds to pay someone else to do it for you. That's why a lot of people self-publish, right? Now, the only good thing about self-publishing is that you get to keep 100% of your book rights. So there's something called book rights. So every book has rights. So if you're, for example, to look at this particular book, that we published last year by Mark Williams. I don't know how many of you are soccer people, but this we published last year by Mark Williams. So this is traditionally published, and I'll talk about what traditionally published is, right? So this one was self-published by a very good friend of mine. It's a best-selling book as well, and but then the difference is he paid people to do this for him. So self-publishing is when you do everything yourself. And unfortunately, with a lot of authors who self-publish, you did everything yourself. The cover looks like you did it. The typesetting looks like you did it. The design looks like you did everything. It just screams that you did this by yourself. Now, depending on how far you want to go with your book, if you want to go into bookstores, exclusive books, and the like, they don't accept self-published books, especially because of the way they look, the way they feel, the way it's printed, and there's the glue on the side, it's coming on. So there's all these things that come with self-publishing. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't self-publish your own book. Of course you should. If you don't have the finances to pay someone to do things for you, you do them yourself. But the difference is you need to get to a point where you are able to get professionals to do it for you. And it doesn't always have to cost you money. The typesetting, everything. So we pay for everything as publishers. The difference is, with my friend, Umlamuli, who, this is his book, he owns 100% of his book. There's no publisher involved here. But then with Mark Williams, because I published this book, I own 100% of this book. The rights are mine. It's my book. We pay Mark a certain percentage based on the book sales that he sells. So when you traditionally publish, you get to a publisher like me, And based on the stories that you have, if it's something that we believe is marketable, that can make money, we then take that, we pay for it, you then give us your rights, right? Which means for the next 5 years, we own 100% of that book, and then we pay you a 15 or 20%, if you're lucky, royalty rate based on the book sales. So that's just the differences on the surface between self-publishing, which means you're doing everything yourself, you don't owe anyone anything, and then traditionally published, which means we pay for everything as publishers, but we then take the majority of your book rights and we pay you whatever that royalty is. Normally it's 10%, 12, 13, if you're lucky, 20%, if you're a celebrity, depends. So that's the difference. I hope I answered your question.
I work in a media house, Hillborough Radio. I don't know who's heard of Hillborough Radio, but it's a community radio station in Johannesburg. So I've been in the industry, yeah, and I'm not a guru or anything, but I've been, you know, been a presenter. So, but now I'm doing marketing. Okay, cutting a long story short, how I got to actually sit here. I come from a background of media. So my dad was actually an actor. I think most of you guys know him. I think you'll know him as Ungonde. He had a yeah. So those are one of the legends, you know, that we have in the industry, in the media industry. I always say, they opened way for us, you know, for me to be here, for most of us to be here. And one of the things I'm actually doing as well is hosting Nights with the Legends, which is I give the old guys that have been in the industry, male, female, we appreciate them, you know, because I think, I don't know who was saying, who actually was saying, the industry, like, you'll actually die without money, you know, the time that, I don't know how to put it, but this industry in its stages, so my dad, I'm going to tell his story, and I think I'm just representing him. He's wrote books. He's been in theaters. He's been in television. He's been in radio. Like, he's done a lot. So the book that I am here for, amongst many, is Ukula Kwedingabao. As I think most of us know that he spoke Xhosa most of the time in television. So that particular book is a Xhosa book, and he never got to public. He never got to do anything with it, because I think Kushone, not that I think, Washona was 2006, and the book was published 2007. So it had published by a publishing, what do you call it? I'm not a writer, guys. I'm just not a writer. I'm also here to learn. Seeing that I have to push it. So published. It wasn't self-published. It was published. And I'm not going to say that particularly. I'm not going to do that. But it was published. And to be quite honest, I'm here to be quite honest. I don't know. Maybe my mom knows what happened to the money, but there's nothing. Like, it's funny. There's nothing. Like, nothing. I was talking to Sia yesterday. I'm like, you know, there's probably people that are driving cars with my books, my dad's books. You know what I'm saying? And they're living in these houses, and we out here. I don't know. So it's something that I'm also here to actually say, I tried to launch the book, you know, I tried to do a lot of things. So thank God I met people like Sia.
Stories, they end up nowhere. So my drive was, we have street corners full of money, basically, because you're sitting there, you're doing something that you could literally be turning into an income. So long story short, it turned into an academy that I'm currently running. And I find that a lot of people that I speak to, I've had quite a few students, even in my class, who have written books, but that's just it. They wrote a book, and some of them are lucky enough to be going out there to do talks, but most of them, they write a book. If you are lucky, you sell a certain number of copies, and that's it. You wrote that book, can relate better to your story if it's an audio. There are some people who are more visual, right? So that leads me to what we are talking about here. So if you want to turn your book into a film, there are so many aspects to it. The one aspect that I want to touch on that a lot of people don't think about is that there's a world to the story. And what I mean is, for example, if you take the Mark Williams book, I haven't read it, I don't know what's in it, but I'm already thinking that world is, this is a person who was a gangster before. So if I'm going to be creating a movie about it, I need to be thinking about where is the location going to be, what kind of gangsterism is it going to show, am I going to now have to have guns in this movie, am I going to have a certain kind of cars that they drove back then. I need to now start creating that world in my head, start creating that fashion that was worn during that time period. So already I have not talked about the story yet. You can already see that there's a department I'm talking about.
Yeah.
For some of you who've already studied film, you can already see that I'm heading towards production design. So there's production design, there's set building, so there's the whole creation of the world of the story. Which is also another thing that you find lacks in scripts. There's a lot of people who will tell you, I wrote the script, I think it's beautiful, they fall in love with their story, but they didn't create a world in it. And so you find that now you're discussing with the script team, and it feels like they're changing your story, but they're not. It's because you didn't create a world. So the team has to create a world because they need to know, how do we now shoot this whole thing? So there's that department that I really, every production that I've worked with, that department is always led by white people. Why? Because we don't think about it. We focus on what we consider to be the glamorous roles when it comes to production. The in front of camera, the producer, now we have a lot of black producers. We focus on all the
Sibusiso Kumalo.
People are getting certificates for acting.
Dineo Mahau. Abongile Sabisa. Snethemba Zulu. Snethemba Zulu. Oh, okay. We also have honorary certificates. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Zama Kambi. Yeah. And then Risiki Manduleke. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Taini Gonyane. You should have seen her on standby. What's happening? What's happening? Congratulations.
There was even one of the actors. One of the actors was here as well at the Soweto Festival.